This is a video I've been waiting to do for a long time. As some of you guys may know, Riot has been talking about buffing Viper since January, and while it's almost, April, here we are. This video is going to break down everything I know about Viper, from walls, lineups, orb lineups, and broken ult spots. This is gonna have it all. As some of you guys may know, I took a brand new account back in Act 3 and went from unranked to Immortal, and then almost Immortal 3, while only playing Viper. I now play Viper on my Radiant main account quite a bit, so I have a lot to share with you guys. If you are new to the channel here, please consider subscribing. And if you want to catch me playing Viper live, you can check out my live stream at twitch.tv/Keeoh. I stream pretty much every day in the evenings PST. So the way we're gonna break down this video is we're gonna quickly go over the Viper changes that just went live today, and then I'm gonna go into each map and show you my favorite things about each map and how to play Viper there. Alright, here are the updates for Viper. The reason I didn't post this video earlier is because I was expecting them to rework Viper, but they just kind of adjusted how her abilities work already. My biggest gripe with Viper is that she doesn't really fill the role of Sentinel, and she doesn't really fill the role of Smokes. So if you have already an Omen, Astra, or a Brimstone, Viper can be really good, and if you have a Cypher or a Killjoy, Viper can be really good. The problem is, there are just better agents to play. Nonetheless, she is a very, very fun agent to play, so let's get into it. They changed the way her Toxin works, so basically, if her Poison Orb or Wall or Ultimate is up and any enemy just touches it for a second, they instantly take 50 decay damage. So it will rebuild back up, but that allows you to place a lot more walls defensively, and they'll end up walking through them, take 50 damage, and you're already at an advantage in that fight. To not make this super OP, they reduced the amount of time it takes you to get decayed from 15 to 10, and they changed the delay for that health to come back from 2.5 seconds to 1.5 seconds, meaning that you'll get your health back quicker. The Poison Cloud no longer has a cooldown when you pick it up, so you can pick it up and throw it right back down, but if you pick it up before the round ends, you still have to buy it the next round. Another cool passive with this is, if it's up when Viper dies, the Poison Orb actually stays up for 2 seconds or until Viper runs out of fuel. They also increased the pickup distance, but that just doesn't really matter too much. For her Toxin screen, they also added that additional 2-second delay if Viper dies, and they changed the way when you walk through one of these, you know when you go into like an Omen smoke and it gets kind of all fuzzy and faded, that's gonna happen when you go into a Toxin screen. So it's gonna be a little bit more blinding for just a second as you walk through one of those walls. And finally, the Snakebite equipped time is changed from 1.1 seconds to 0.8 seconds, which just decreases the amount of time it takes to put your Snakebite in and shoot it for lineups and stuff like that. All right, that's all the changes for Viper. Let's jump into the first map. Here we are on ASCENT, and first up, let's show you the most broken ults in the game right here. Is if you stand on these boxes, throw your ult down. This is actually a one-way. Now, they're not going to take the vulnerable damage, but you're going to see their feet first. Then you can either shoot them in the, in the crotch or try to aim at their head. It is probably one of the best ults in the game. Also, if you didn't know already, you can actually press down on Viper's ultimate to put it down. A lot of people don't know that about Viper, but it's pretty cool. If you play Killjoy at all, you probably know this spot, but you can actually throw Viper's Snakebite in this little corner as well. Just like Killjoy's Molly, it goes through the ground, does damage, and with Viper, it makes him vulnerable. So it's really, really good. All right, let's show you guys some lineups. So if you jump up here, there's a really good spot by just tucking yourself in this corner. Look at this little tip, and then go to the right a little bit. If you throw your Poison Orb, this should land right on Heaven, and that covers all of Heaven. And with the new changes, people are not going to want to push through that orb, because they will instantly take 50 decay damage. So if they do end up peeking out here, they're going to be really hurt. A good lineup for post plant is right here on the bike. If you play Killjoy at all, you know how I have a lineup that's like right here. So look at the flag, then go up a little bit, and then this should land directly on default, which is really good for post plant. When I'm taking A side on attack, I like to throw this Poison Orb that lands on Heaven, and then I either use my wall to cut off the door here, or I cut off the entire right side of sight. It just depends on how much coordination your team has. If they have more coordination, throw this wall. If they have less, throw this wall and just close the door on your way in. This one is really good because it takes all of back sight. You can get some people into Heaven, and then you can put it all down, and then you can take the fights together while you already have control of most of the site. But again, don't do that if your teammates aren't talking, because you kind of need coordination for that. With the Viper changes, this wall is going to be really good, because if anyone does choose to swing through it, they're going to take 50 decay damage, which is crazy. This is a really good one way that you can throw right here. You're going to see their feet if they peek here way before you see them. You can't really see them at all until you're way over here, but you're able to see from the defender side right here. It's pretty broken. When you're shooting through a one-way, make sure to use a Phantom over a Vandal, just because this doesn't have bullet tracers. They won't be able to see where you're shooting, instead of a Vandal that does have bullet tracers. Not required, but it definitely helps a lot. On defense for B, here's another really good one-way. This one you can play in a lot of different angles. You can put it up and play on the stairs here, or you can play from market, or even over here on lane. You're gonna see their feet before they see you at all. So this one has a lot of really good uses. If you're retaking B site and you still have your wall, a really good wall to throw is like this, because then you can push all the way out on lane, and then you can put your wall down and then catch whoever's, you know, back site right here or right here. Pretty off guard because they're not going to expect you to do that. Or you can even just freaking jump through your wall and see where they are. It's a little more risky, but that is a really good way to retake B site. Especially if you have teammates that are pushing stair at the same time. Because once your wall goes up, they're going to be looking here. And then when your wall goes down, they're probably looking here. And you're already, you know, back there. A good wall to throw when you're attacking on B side here is down this side. Make sure it covers the staircase. And this will cover market as well. So this just gives you some control here. When this wall goes up, you cover CT, market, and stairs as you swing in here. It allows somebody to, you know, clear in here, close market door. And then the rest of your team can take site control. And then you can play post plant. Using your ult pretty much anywhere on site is going to be really good as long as you have the bomb down. If you want to get more aggressive, you can play it more forward so that if they push through stairs, they're going to instantly go into your ult. But you could also play pretty far back in boathouse if you plan a default. That's not too bad. It doesn't really matter. I think that is it for Ascent so far. Let's jump into the next map. All right, here we are on Bind. This is probably one of Viper's best maps without the changes, and with the changes, she's going to be nuts here. First off on attack, this is one of my favorite lineups to throw, is throwing an orb on heaven. Put your crosshair right in between this, and then do a jump throw. This should land right on heaven here, and then at the same time, throw a wall down. This whole setup is pretty insane when you're pushing in from A short. It also allows for somebody to lurk out of showers and catch anybody off guard that might be trying to watch if anyone pushes through this wall. If I have smokes on my team, I generally throw this setup every round. Because if I throw this setup every round, we can fake with smokes elsewhere, and they're never gonna know where we're going. Fun fact about Viper is her poison orb actually travels at the same speed as a Killjoy Molly. As some of you guys know, this is one of my favorite Killjoy Molly lineup spots, but if you have your orb still, you already have planted default, you can actually just throw your poison orb, and it'll land right on default. And especially with these new changes where it's going to take 50 damage instantly, that's going to be really good for post plant. So if you have your orb down or not, you can use the snake bite to line up. You just are looking at your fuel bar here, right on this little wood pole, and then you line it up with the same relative vertical point from the Killjoy lineup, so you just go from here to here, then you just throw a snake bite like this, and boom, right on default. There you go. A good one way to throw as Viper before the round starts is right here. You kind of just look at the top of this and then do a right click. It lands right on the corner of the box, providing a great one way for right here. If they decide to have a jet dash or a raise satchel through, you can throw a poison right at the choke here, and that's going to stop the rest of their team pushing through, making the raise cut off from their team, and then you can get a free kill on them, then flick back to short. Pretty good way to hold down A side on defense. When I take B side, I generally save my orb for post plant because you can do some lineups here. You can use your wall to cut off cubby and back sight. This is just going to give you enough control to push out here. And then again, I'd recommend running smokes when you play Viper. So this is where I'd have either a sage wall or an omen or a brim smoke right here. Then you can throw your poison orb here for post plant. And let me show you another lineup. All right, so if you stand on top of this rock, look right at the bottom of this little silo thing, and then you line your fuel bar up right to the bottom of it, pull out your snake bite, launch it, and that'll land right on default. Pairing that with the poison orb is going to give you a lot of lineup kills. What I like to do with this play is generally throw a poison orb there from long, and then you wrap all the way around to hookah. If your fuel is full and you pop your poison orb at the same time, there's no way they're going to get the diffuse off, and then you can be in a completely different spot from where you shot the lineup. It's pretty nice. When you use your ult here, you can use it on top of the container here. This just gives you a lot of more range to see exactly where they're going to be and push in. And if you have the bomb planted right here, this is a really good spot to play. You can kind of play on top of the can, and then you can peek out of it and see into like hookah from here, which gives you a lot of really cheeky kills. Like nobody's really looking on top of this with how big the Viper ult is, so this can give you a lot of good kills. As a disclaimer, there are tons of different one-ways and walls. This is just exactly what I use and I find the most helpful, so I could show you plenty of different things, but I'm just going to go over the things that I think are the most important and the best ways to play Viper. If you're attacking and get control of this part of sight and you have your ult, this is a good spot to put it right here. And if you're on defense on a save round or whatever, you can just put your ult up short. This gives you so much control of the map, and if they push through this, they're going to die. Because you can throw your mollies through here, or you can just kind of constantly rotate around. It's a really good place to use your ult. And make sure to have somebody hold showers while you're on A site, and then you're good. If your team calls they're pushing hookah and you're playing on A site, this is a really good snake bite to throw. so that it stops them from pushing hookah, or at least splits them or makes them vulnerable. So you stand on this bottom part of the stair here. You look at it kind of like a quarter up of the door here. Throw your snake bite, and it'll land just in front of hookah. So if they want to push in, they're going to get vulnerable. And if not, it's going to split their team and allow your team to kind of take a couple separate fights, which should help. And if, you know, they're full rushing, you can TP with it, get a couple free kills. I think that is it for the map Bind. Let's go ahead and move on to the next map. All right, here we are on Haven, and I have a lot to share with you guys. So let's get into it. First up, let's show all the lineups on each site. These are going to land on the most default plants. So put your leftmost keybind, for mine it's H, into the light bulb right here. This is what you're looking at, the light bulb. And then you line up your letter right there. This is going to land pretty much perfectly in the middle of default right here. Great lineup, because it covers both sides of plants. If they planted more to the right of the truck or the left of the truck, they're still going to get damage done. Next up is for B. Make sure you're lined up in the center here. Then you just look at the top of this pole. Pretty easy. Throw the lineup, and that lands right in default for B. Really, really good lineup, because you're pretty far away, but it still travels very fast. The higher up your Viper lineups go, the longer it takes for it to hit the ground, and sometimes they could get half or a full diffuse off if you didn't throw it fast enough, or before they started diffusing. This one, you could shoot, and it'll still land before they're done diffusing. All right, this one should land for default. You're going to be looking at here, but you're going to be looking at it with your wall ability. So you line it up to right around here, and then make sure you're not into this corner, because if you are, you're going to hit that tree. So go to the left of it a little bit, line it up with your wall ability, and then boom. And then that lands perfectly on default. All right, probably one of the best Viper walls in the game is right here on A site. You jump up on these boxes, and then you look at the map, and then you place your wall so it crosses heaven. Make sure you're aimed up so that your wall actually lands above heaven here, and your wall actually goes through heaven here. And that blocks off. It's such a good wall for taking the site. When you're taking B, you could just throw up one of your walls on either the C side or the A side, and then push in facing the other side most likely, because you want to try to clear that. And then when your wall goes down, you know, push the other side. When you're pushing C, I really like to wall up this side and kind of do it at an angle. This does give the enemy a little bit of control here, because they definitely can be on, like, logs here. So you just need to communicate with your team that, okay, they might still be back sight, so be careful. And then when your wall goes down, make sure that you're probably the person watching logs. They probably forgot. You know, you just need to communicate things properly. That's probably one of the most important things to do as Viper, is communicating what your walls are doing to the other team and what it's doing for you. If you're not communicating that, your teammates aren't going to be able to play around that. So that's really, really important. Ulting pretty much anywhere on C side is really good, because then you can get around on this back side of the corner, and this allows you to kind of keep tabs on what is happening on the map. And then when somebody, if you planted right here, is defusing the bomb, you can kind of just crouch walk in and then kill the guy defusing. Or if somebody's down here, or you can just be holding over here. It's such a good ult to just be playing back on this back platform while your ult's up. Really, really good placement. Another way I like to take A, when I have my ultimate, is to throw my wall down like this, so it cuts off just a little corner of sight, and then you can push all the way back sight and then throw your ultimate down, and it gives you pretty much entire control of the site, which is awesome. If you're on defense, you can jump from heaven on top of this truck and then pop your ult, and your ult will go super high on this truck, and you can just play on top of it. It's really kind of cheeky and janky, but I've gotten a lot of kills just while chilling up here, because they do not expect you to be above them. Here's the one way for garage on defense. You're going to stand up here. You're going to look directly in the middle of this. This is actually a really, really hard one to do, so just be really, really careful. You might have to go into a custom game and try it out for yourself. But point it right there, line all the way back up against the wall here, and then what you're going to do is you kind of have to lean in your monitor a little bit to see exactly where it lands, but you go right above into that little dark spot on the wood there. In between the light, but above in the middle of the dark spot. And this will land right on that little lip. It's super odd, but this is a really good one-way, because you can be playing from garage window, and then if anyone pushes in, you're going to see them first, which is awesome. And then if your poison orb goes down and they are pushing garage, just throw a snake bite as they're rotating in, and then you can kind of readjust your position or go help C if they're pushing C. If you're rushing mid, like on an eco round, or you just want to go aggressive for some reason, throw a wall like this. It'll cut off the mid window, and then right when your round starts, pop your wall out, and then you can put your wall down or push through it. It just gives you a lot of control of mid before the round even starts. Definitely only do that if you're pushing with your team, though. Don't just go throw a wall in mid and push for no reason. Another good one way is right here. You can look right at this little lip. This is what we're going to be throwing it onto. Do a right-click throw with a jump, and then that's going to land on that little edge. You can sit back from this side or on top of logs even, and you'll be able to see them first as they push in. So that's a really good one-way spot. All right, I think that's it for Haven. Let's jump into the next map. All right, here we are on Split. Let's show you the first one-way. So if you stand up right here, you can see this little crack in the wood. You're gonna go right in between it like this. Then you're gonna point at this part, go to the light on the right side of it. This will bounce off the top, and it'll give you a one-way for mid. This just allows you to hold it. You can make sure nobody's crossing here. If they do, free kills, they don't see you. It's great. Another lineup for garage is right here. You can sit right back in this corner. Then you're gonna look at this little grate. Look at the bottom part of it with your crosshair. Throw it in there. It lands inside of it, and you can actually grab it back, but it's a pretty good one-way for garage. It's not amazing, so you kind of have to be careful with it. It's better to just like kind of play back on it, and it's just gonna stop them from pushing, because who's gonna push a one-way that massive? Another good one-way is for A ramp. This one got changed with the most recent Split update, so you have to stand in this corner right here. Then you look at the light, and then look at the bar in between the light and the wall right here, and just go to the left of it a little bit. And then that should land right on the edge here. This is a pretty good one-way for when they're pushing up here. You can play back. You're going to see their feet as they're pushing in. A super easy lineup to do that lands back sight is standing right here on this corner. You don't have to be perfect or anything. And then you look at the skyscraper line right here. You go to the very top of it and just shoot a lineup. That'll land right back sight. There we go. Another lineup from the exact same spot is you look at the A in the Avengers Tower, and the top of that, you're going to line it up with the quarter bar of your fuel line to the left of it. And then this is going to land on the general default plant. So that's a really easy one to remember. And then boom, default plant right there. Easy. Really good wall for attack on A is to sit in sewers before the round starts. And then right as the round starts, you throw your wall like this. You want to try to get it so that half your wall is covering heaven, because it allows the enemy to think that they're safe pushing out, and sometimes you'll see their gun sticking through the wall, and that's just fantastic because it means they're decayed and you're gonna see their gun. So it's gonna be, and you can just kill them through that. So you just look at the map, try to get it like halfway on heaven, halfway off. There's not like a perfect spot for it. It kind of just depends on the other team and if they're gonna push it or not. But this wall covers A ramp, A heaven, and yeah, that's pretty nice. After throwing your wall, you can stand pretty much anywhere around here. Look at the top of this building, do a jump throw, and this is gonna land to block off screens. Your orb is pretty massive, so it does a pretty good job blocking it as long as you get kind of close. If you have your ult on attack, a good way to throw your wall before you ult is to like this, so that when you wall up, you can kind of push really close to the point, and then you can ult through this. This gives you pretty much full control of the first part of A site. While you haven't even cleared sight, you can still plant right there, and as long as your teammates eventually push through and clear sight, you should be pretty good. As long as everyone plays in the ult, easy round win. This is my favorite orb lineup, probably for the entire map here. So you look at this stain in the wall, push up right next to it, and then you're gonna look at this part with the diamonds on your crosshair. If you guys don't know what those are, that's like where you throw or right click it. That's what you're looking at right there. You don't want to go too far to the right, otherwise you'll hit this thing. So make sure that you line it up just kind of in between there. Boom, easy throw. This one lands right on top of this new box, and it is awesome because when you push up, you actually don't even need to cover heaven because you are fully protected while coming out of here. So unless they're hell, this is a really, really good orb. If you have your ult while attacking B, you could put a close wall like you would like a sage wall here, push in, get control of sight, and then you ult on sight. That is a really quick way to take the sight control, and as long as you clear back sight, should be an easy round win as long as you're playing around your ult the right way. If you plant for garage, you can sit right behind this box and do little jump peeks and throw your poisons, and it's amazing. So it just constantly gets them off bomb, and they can't really do much about it unless they're pre-aiming ready to headshot you when you jump peek with a snake bite. It's pretty funny. You kind of want to be playing close by. You could go back here and do a lineup, but like you're so far to the point where if it misses or, you know, something goes wrong, you're not close enough to swing and shoot the bomb. So this is a much better spot to kind of just easy, like, free kills like that. On pretty much every map, I save my wall for retakes on defense, so don't really worry about placing all your abilities every round. Just as long as you're using them the right way is what matters. I think that is about it for Split. Let's jump into the final map, and one of my favorite VIPER maps, ICEBOX. Alright, welcome to ICEBOX, or Viper's Playground, whatever you want to call it. It's amazing here. Generally, defense A, I like to throw a poison orb around here. Doesn't matter, just once the round starts, you can kind of throw it from pretty much anywhere on defense. And then if they're pushing in, you can be hanging out back here, and you can bank your poison snake bites off the roof. And then if they push in, they're vulnerable and hurt. It's a really good way to hold down A site, especially on pistol rounds, because if they choose to push that, with the new changes, they're going to be at least down 50 damage, and if they push into a vulnerable molly at the same time, they're probably going to die. If you want to mix it up, every once in a while, you could throw a wall like this, This basically just kind of cuts off you from the rest of the site. It goes on top as well, and this just cuts off all their vision on site. It's better for retakes to have this wall, because it does give them a little bit of control, but it's still pretty good. Just depends on how you play around it. I'd recommend going in a custom game and just get comfortable, like, bouncing poison mollies off the roof, because you can get pretty good at landing them near, like, essential spots that people are generally going to be by just, like, kind of testing out exactly where they bank off and stuff. So it's really nice to have that comfortability of just like, okay, that's roughly where it's going to land. Definitely helps out a lot. So when they're pushing in, you can kind of just bank mollies off the roof if you haven't used them at the earlier choke, or you're playing B site for whatever reason. You can just kind of bounce them off the roof, have it land default, and then stop the plant or make them vulnerable, have somebody swing from heaven. There's just so many options for you to do while playing Viper on this map. Another good wall to throw on defense is one that goes all the way up till B. You want to cut off this main door on B garage, so you're going to cut off mid, bottom of mid tube, and the main door on B garage, meaning that if they push through this, any of those, they're going to take at least 50 damage on their way in, which is pretty awesome. Again, its decay damage goes away, but if anyone's holding those angles, it's just gonna give them a leg up in that fight. One of Viper's best ultimates in the game right there is in this little box. Believe it or not, you can point yourself towards this right here, pop your ultimate, and it goes all the way through kitchen. It gives you so much control. So if for some reason you see yourself on B heaven with a Viper ult and you have bomb, you can plant at the top, and then you can ult all the way into kitchen. It is awesome. Another good wall I like to use on defense is standing in kitchen while you throw it, because the spawn barrier is right here at the beginning of the round. You can throw your wall like this, and if you do it a little bit of an angle, you can kind of do some cheeky things with it. Let me show you. So of course, this just kind of provides a barrier for you to hold if they start pushing through here. But if you want to get kind of technical and advanced, you can jump up here, try to do this as silently as possible, and then you can get this jump down. And then as soon as you get comfortable making this jump right here, you can be kind of like hiding behind your wall right here before they even push in. And then if your wall goes down, you can kind of peek them from behind. Nobody really sees it coming. It's really quite interesting. For A site, you can stand back here, and then you see where these two walls kind of change colors. So there's like the lighter version of it and then the dark version on top. You kind of stand back until you can see the light version just barely. Aim your crosshair right around there, and then this should land right at the plant for heaven, which is really, really good. So if it's planted for heaven, that's a great lineup. After that's gone off and it's gone away and they re-tap the bomb, you're already ready to swing from heaven and they didn't see you at all, which just makes it a really, really strong way to hold down for post-plant. All right, so if you're doing a post-plant lineup for default on B, this is a great spot. You use this line to line it up, sit right here, and then you look right here, go to the right a little bit, and do a jump throw. That's gonna land right on default. Beautiful. All right, a good wall for taking A is putting yourself into this corner. And then I see a lot of people throw their wall like this just to cut yourself off a little lip. But what I like to do is actually aim my wall up and inside the tube. This kind of cuts off the people that are playing inside or maybe trying to kill the guy that's planning right here from the top tube. As you see, this wall just totally cuts them off. I really don't know why more Vipers don't do this wall, but hey, use it. And then pretty much every time you're playing, if you want to just throw a poison orb on the bomb, it's worth it. Even if you're not playing for lineups, you can just fake people out by putting it up and then waiting a second and then putting it back down. Especially if they tap orb during that, you can just put it down and then boom, free kill. It's awesome. All right, so there are two main walls you're going to want to throw on A site. You can throw this one that just lands towards screens, or what I like to do, especially because I'm in a little bit more coordinated lobby, I like to throw a diagonal wall like this. This covers most of backside, and then we'll push in, clear all of the right side of sight, and then once everybody's in a good spot, I put the wall down on purpose, and then we take fights and try to beat them because we're just going to be surrounding them. Whoever is playing A site pretty much dies every time there. Another good spot to play for post plant here is just right here, because if you plant in that little cubby for default, you can throw a snake bite, and then you can kind of silently creep up on them as they are running away from the vulnerability bomb, and then just he kills. All right, this is a pretty good ult to do on defense. So right as the round starts, you can jump on this zip line before they even peek you, and then you can throw your ult out right here. This allows you to play on top up here, and you can see them go under, or if they take the rope on the way in, you're gonna see them, which is great. So you pretty much have A on lockdown unless they come through mid. It's awesome. This is kind of a cheesy wall, but it works shockingly a lot. Basically, you can throw a Viper wall just right here if they plant it on default, and then you can just full stick diffuses. I have gotten away with it with 5 people alive multiple times, which should not happen, but it works. So, I mean, you can bait with it, or you can full diffuse it. It's awesome. It's a really good retake wall in defense. I think that is it. That is my full Viper guide. Again, that is not everything that I know. That is everything that I think is applicable and the best ways to play Viper on each map. If you have any one-ways that you think I missed or you want to share anything with me, leave it in the comments below. Would love to hear your input. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.